Before we move on, last question in the leadership area. What do you see as the biggest opportunities for leaders today?
And I would say that probably the biggest opportunity is capitalizing on where others have failed, learning from those mistakes, offering something that's different, taking advantage of what is quite a dynamic and moving market. You've got AI coming through, you've got cyber threats that need to be dealt with, you've got new technologies, in even things like materials technology, they're changing. Stay ahead of those. If you're early on the adoption curves of those tools, techniques, or products, then you probably have got a good way of continuing to drive your business forward. And those who don't, and those who don't have a culture, and those who don't have a team spirit will tend to see life a bit more challenging, I think.
Thanks for that. And given that you've mentioned AI, I was going to move us into the industry evolution and challenges area. So AI is a good area for that, of course. We know it's a notable change in the industry. We know it's there to help automating tasks and preserving critical thinking and storytelling. But how do you see AI shaping the future of deal making, particularly?
I think it's going to be quite helpful. As I referred to, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. So when I started in banking to do a set of comps, I'd walk down the corridor to the library, either get the microfiche out or pull a hard copy of the accounts, read it, use my accounting training to pro forma the numbers and put it in an Excel, or actually it was a Lotus 123 spreadsheet. Most of the people listening to this call won't have a clue what that was. But what that meant is in a day, you could maybe do 10, 15, 20 comps. Now you've got things like Cap IQ. You've got all the other Merger Market, all those other products. You can download more data than you've ever needed. The skill then became turning that data into information. I think as we start to use AI, it's going to do a lot of that data interpretation for us. It is also going to enable us to do first drafts of sector papers, et cetera, et cetera. But what that then will need is people to read it, understand it. And my personal perspective is you're going to start seeing a lot more critical thinking coming back into the junior investment banking recruiting. It went from, back in the 90s, a lot of the bankers came from sort of PPE courses. Then it became science and maths. And I think we're going to start going back to critical thinking being a big part of the job of the junior bankers. And actually, it's important because as you grow in your career, understanding how to negotiate, how to position an equity story, how to get two parties around a table in agreement, all those things come from critical thinking and analysis. It's not all about the model, the numbers in those models. I'm not trying to minimize the importance of those because they're super important, but I think that critical thinking will be the place that changes most.
I wanted to talk a little bit about future because I've spoken to a lot of leaders about AI, obviously not surprising with everything that's happening, but your take on AI and the concerns for the future of females in IB was really interesting. So what happens to the pipeline when AI disrupts that entry level banking roles and women are already underrepresented in tech? So what should leaders really be thinking about with regards to that?
Yeah, so I will take both the over and the under on this. On the under, what I'm concerned about is there's some predictions that upwards of 65% of those entry level jobs will go away because AI will just take it up, right? So the associate and analyst roles won't be necessary anymore because we can just do all that comp work and all that stuff using AI. And in fact, just last week I had a meeting on the same. So the question then becomes, if you can't come in at the associate or analyst level, how do you skip up to VP Director MD? So that is my concern. And when we already are underrepresented in those junior roles, it's just going to create more and more of a gap as you become more senior. That's the very negative view. The more positive view is that if AI is doing a lot of the rote work, then what is it that you are really needed for when you're facing off with clients is the ability to connect with clients and develop those client relationships, the ability to actually communicate, the ability to provide insight into an industry or into a transaction. And those are things arguably that women excel at. And I don't think it's exclusive to women, but women excel at. It's the analytical skills, it's the human interaction and behavior skills that I would say we bring a lot to the table on. What I don't think anyone has figured out is if we eliminate a lot of jobs at the bottom, how do you get to the top? And what are the new jobs that are going to need to be created in order to train someone up? And to your point, women are still underrepresented in tech, so data scientists, prompt engineers, all of those things. There's a lot of work that needs to be done over there. And I would say, as a leader, you're going to have to be super attentive to who you're hiring on the tech side, because if there's a huge inequity there in who you're taking in, we will probably go backwards at the leadership level if we're not careful.
We all obviously know AI is reshaping many industries, and you've mentioned a few minutes ago that knowledge itself is being commoditized. So interested to get your thoughts on how you see AI impacting investment banking, and where does human expertise remain irreplaceable, in your opinion?
Yeah, look, so we're first, I think conceptually, there is lots of, I will call non-thinking work that feels like it should be low-hanging fruit for LLMs or AI agents or whatever we want to call it. When you just think about putting presentations together and running basic analyses and things like that. So we are really early days, but thinking about what that looks like broadly at the organization, and we have some AI enhanced tools that, just to give a few examples, some of the presentation work that we do in terms of putting the finishing touches on things. We have some AI tools that we use for that. We do use AI to digest, summarize, etc., industry research, call transcripts. We take the very rote work of an analyst going through that and typing up notes and give them time to go back and do actual thought work, right? Which is, I think, where the industry is headed. And then, look, over time, I still think that, one, genuine relationships matter, right? This is financials. Investment banking is ultimately in large part about trust, and financial services is in large part about trust. And it's very difficult to replicate trust, even over a virtual call, in my mind, let alone with an AI or a non-human thinker. And then two, again, the reasoning that comes from experience, right? And being able to update your thought processes as you learn new information and the industry evolves. I am not an AI expert, right? But I've read a lot of work by people who are, and I think that's the last bastion of job security from AI, right? Is genuine abductive reasoning, genuine ability to think. One of my favorite anecdotes, I forget where I picked it up, is that obviously decades ago, the best AIs could beat the best human chess players at chess, but the best human chess players with an AI by their side destroy the best AI chess models. So I think that idea that technology will continue to enhance what we do and create more time and bandwidth to lean into those specialties that are very difficult to replace is, again, just really how we're thinking about this going forward.